Of conversation. As Kristen points out, he's holding this dinner this evening, a dinner date, a chat and chew with Senate Republicans at the White House. Now, the president has invited 12 GOP senators to dine with him. And tonight's guest list, it has not been fully released, but so far we do know this many have been invited. We've got Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson, who made the guest list at the request of the president. Senators John Thune, Mike Enzi, Marco Rubio, and Susan Collins. Now, it's not clear at this point whether all these senators will in fact attend, but again, the master list maker, Senator Johnny Isakson, joins me live from the Capitol. Sir, it's great to have you here. Can you reveal the attendees that are going to be there tonight, the confirmations of the 12 that you have?
You know, I promised all of them that I'd let them release it if they wanted to prior to the dinner. It's up to them. You're right on the ones that you named.
Right on the ones that we've named. Okay. Have you gotten any regrets?
No, sir. I don't think you get too many turndowns to go have dinner at the White House.
When we hear about the president coming out in the Rose Garden today and talking about the fact that he is looking for a compromise when it comes to his budget deal, and the fact that what they're coming to the table with is basically a $3.7 trillion spending plan today, but saving $1.8 trillion in deficit over the next decade, what's your first reaction to how that will play out with your colleagues?
Well, you know, budgets are eyes of the beholder documents. If you want to find something to hate, you can find it. If you want to find something to like, you can find it. The one part of his proposal, though, that gives hope is he put change CPI in terms of Social Security and Medicare on the table. That is a good offer to begin with to work towards debt and deficit reductions and get our arms around our biggest problem, which is our debt. We've got to find where we can find common ground, and that's one place where I think we can.
One thing when it comes to common ground, revenue has certainly been a hot button topic, and as we know, in this budget proposal, it would be $580 billion in additional revenue, kind of on the coattails of the last uptick in taxes that we saw. But this would be specifically a tax reform that closes loopholes on the wealthy in this country. This morning, Morning Joe had a Marist poll that it put up to how to reduce the federal deficit, and that's one of the big concerns for the president. Obviously, revenue helps with that, but mostly increases in revenue. Americans say 35%, mostly cut government spending by 17%, and do both. 42% say we should do both on that. What do you think when you hear about the fact that the president wants to go after revenue and close loopholes for wealthier Americans?
The secret on revenues is corporate tax reform. We need to go to a territorial tax system. We need to take all the tax credits, tax benefits, and tax treatments in there, and we ought to clean out our tax code. The largest increase in revenues ever came after Ronald Reagan cut taxes but cleaned up the tax code. If you broaden the base upon which you apply the rate, you can lower the rate of taxation, but you can grow prosperity and you can grow revenues.
How do you think the reintroduction of the Buffett rule will play out?
Well, that's one of those political things that you can pick out to like or hate, depending on where you're coming from. It'll get a lot of conversation, but in the end, we need comprehensive reform of the corporate tax code, not just taking singular pot shots.
Sir, as we've been talking about, this hour is certainly a big one when it comes to a lot of movement and progress in Washington, D.C., with the president talking about his budget. We have Senators Toomey and Manchin unveiling their bipartisan deal for progress on gun reform when it comes to background checks. We also expect and anticipate something on immigration reform this week. What do you think is going to be the hot button topic of dinner conversation tonight when you're at the White House?
I think it's going to be the debt and deficit. It's going to be spending. It's going to be reform of Social Security and Medicare. That is the big issue that we have got to face. This is a year where we, I think, can face it politically because it's an off year congressionally. There's not a presidential election next year. We've got the time to concentrate on it. The answers are there if we're willing to seek them out and find them.
Sir, when we talk about the fact that the White House is seen as kind of being aloof when dealing with the right. We know that this is the second dinner that the president has had with elected leaders, the first time being out on the town, now going to the White House itself. Do you think that this helps repair perception being reality, that there can't be good conversation, good debate, intelligent debate between the left and the right?
I believe this is a sincere effort by the president. We'll find out as time goes on, but I believe he's committed to try and open dialogue, try and find out where there may be agreement. I commend him on doing it. I hope tonight's successful, and I hope he invites the rest of the Republican conference over the next few weeks ahead to get all the input from all our members. We've got to start seeking common ground on our debt, on our deficit, and the reductions in spending.
Certainly a lot of fresh topics tonight to talk about. As we said, this hour has been a big one. Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson. Sir, thanks for making time for me. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.